What if I told you the most important thing you'll hear today isn't about the past you've lived through, but the future that's quietly waiting for you to show up? Not a distant fantasy in a chrome-plated city, not a fever dream from a sci-fi forum, but a future that's already peeking through the cracks of the present. If you're ready, lean in. And before we go anywhere, drop your boldest prediction in the comments, something you want to see in your lifetime. Then hit subscribe so you don't miss the moment that prediction starts to come true. Cool? Cool. Let's fly. Here's the first uncomfortable truth. The future rarely announces itself with trumpets. It doesn't land like a spaceship in the town square. It trickles in through software updates, boring policy memos, beta features you ignore, a new button on a thing you already use. By the time most people notice, the rules of the game have changed, and they're still playing last season. The secret is to look where people aren't looking. The edges, the prototypes, the jokes that stop being jokes. Take how we move. Everyone pictures themselves zipping between skyscrapers in something loud, shiny, and questionably insured. That part will come later. The quiet revolution is that commutes are becoming networks instead of lines. You'll request a ride, and a small electric craft will rise from a rooftop pad, whisper past the traffic, and set you down 2 neighborhoods away before your coffee has time to judge you. Air corridors will be as normal as bike lanes, and you'll complain about turbulence the way you complain about potholes now. Cities will look up and redraw themselves. And on the ground, the friction of getting from A to B is melting. Sidewalks will charge the shoes that charge your phone that tells the crosswalk you're coming so it stays green just a beat longer. Your car will plan its own errands, coordinate with a dozen other cars you'll never meet, and return washed, because a curbside robot traded 5 gallons of recycled water for 10 minutes of your attention to an ad about sunglasses you will, against your better judgment, buy. Transportation will feel less like steering and more like surfing. Now look at health. We think of medicine as something that begins when something goes wrong. The new model starts long before that. Your mirror will learn the difference between "you woke up late" and "hey, your left eye is slightly redder than usual," and that correlates with dehydration and 3 other signals. So drink water, cancel the second coffee, and please, please, get some sleep. Your bathroom will whisper with data you didn't ask for, but will secretly love. Pills will be less common. Targeted molecules and microdoses delivered by smart patches will be more common. The hospital will become a place you visit to train your physiology, not just fix it. And then there's food. The kitchen of tomorrow has an opinion. It's not bossy. It's helpful, like a friend who knows 5-star recipes and your delivery order history. It will notice the mushrooms you forgot in the back drawer and suggest a sizzling fix that actually tastes like something you'd post about. When you do order out, half the meal will come from a vertical farm 2 miles away that grows kale like Wi-Fi grows bars, quietly, everywhere, all the time. Seafood will be something you can enjoy without a heavy conscience, because a tank the size of a closet will grow pristine fillets with more flavor than bragging rights. And yes, you'll try printed pizza at least once. You'll pretend it was ironic. It won't be. Work is going to feel weird in the best way. The old contract said, trade time for money and try to enjoy weekends. The new deal says, trade outcomes for freedom and measure your life in projects you're proud of. Software partners, let's stop calling them tools, will sit beside you like ultra-competent colleagues who never get tired, never forget, and ask only to be pointed at a problem and told, go. You'll pitch a concept in the morning, and by lunch your companion has drafted 5 versions, stress-tested the numbers, mocked up a landing page, and scheduled interviews with 3 users who earnestly believe you exist. You'll still be the director, the editor, the conscience. You'll just have the crew you always dreamed of. Money will become more like oxygen, essential, invisible, regulated by systems you don't think about until something feels off. You'll still get paid, but you won't always notice the exchange. Your car will sell excess battery capacity to the grid and deposit credits you use at the cafe that discounts your latte because you biked there last week and the city's health program gave you points for making the air slightly less tragic. 1,000 tiny marketplaces will hum under everyday life, negotiating on your behalf while you decide whether the croissant is worth the 8 minutes of rowing your watch. Will absolutely recommend later. It will be. Education is about to shake off the dust of centuries. No more learning facts like you're stockpiling canned goods for a quiz-pocalypse. Knowledge will be a playground you step into. You'll walk through the Silk Roads with a guide who can switch from a historian to a merchant to a camel with flawless comic timing. You'll learn calculus by designing a skate park and failing safely until fear turns into intuition. Credentials will be less about how long you sat in a chair and more about what you can demonstrate right now, on demand. Curiosity will scale. Boredom will file for bankruptcy. Relationships will evolve in ways that are oddly tender. Machines won't replace people. They'll remind us how much we crave each other. You'll get a nudge that says your best friend had a rough day. No details, just a gentle prompt to call. And you'll call, because you remember the nights your own phone was silent when you needed it not to be. Gifts will become less physical and more experiential. Imagine sending someone an afternoon in a sound garden that adapts to their heartbeat, or a hike through a digital forest rendered from the last text their grandmother ever sent them. You'll cry. You'll laugh. You'll wonder how a world so technical became so impossibly intimate. Let's talk about cities. The most futuristic thing about them won't be the skyscrapers. It'll be the software stitched into the streets. Windows will tint themselves to cool the block. Parks will inflate and deflate like lungs, making space for markets and concerts that never need a permit, because the permit is a piece of code, and the code knows Tuesday mornings love farmers' stalls, and Thursday nights love jazz. Streetlights will tell jokes. Buses will flirt with their roots. The city will become a living conversation, and you will finally feel like a participant instead of a line item on a zoning map. Climate adaptation will look less like panic and more like craft. Buildings will sip sunlight like tea. Roofs will grow things. Highways will become skinny forests that guide storms into thirsty reservoirs. The ocean will host underwater forests tended by fishers who look more like gardeners than hunters. We'll develop a sense for the planet the way we developed a sense for Wi-Fi, checking bars, moving a little to the left to catch a better signal, noticing that the signal is us. Art is going to explode. When anyone can collaborate with a symphony of models, when the line between sketch and cinema collapses, creativity stops asking permission. You'll make something in an afternoon that would have taken an army a decade ago, and instead of asking, "Is this allowed?" you'll ask, "Who does this move?" Trends will splinter and reunite in breathtaking mosaics. The weirdest corners of culture will birth the ideas that define an era. You'll hear a song composed by someone who never learned an instrument in any traditional sense, and you'll feel the same ache you felt the first time a real chorus found you. We'll remember that technology is just another instrument, and what matters is the hands and hearts that play it. All of this sounds big because it is, but the best way to understand the future is to shrink it to the size of a single day. So picture this. You wake to soft light and a voice that learned your morning mood years ago. It knows whether you need jokes or silence. Today it chooses silence and a song your mother hummed once on a road trip when the sun turned the dashboard into a cathedral. The blinds open. The air tastes like rain. Your kitchen screen flashes a recipe built around what needs to be used, what you love, and what your next meeting demands. Calm, clarity, a little sparkle. You eat. You approve the sparkle. Your ride arrives on the roof. It feels like stepping into a whisper. Below you, streets braid themselves into patterns only city planners and pigeons fully understand. You pass a rooftop school where a class is learning navigation by plotting the route of a falcon that doesn't know it's a teacher. You smile because once, school was a place. Now it's a verb. Work begins the moment you greet your collaborator. It isn't a person or a program. It's a partnership. You explain the problem like you're describing a movie to a friend on a long walk. It listens. Together, you try 3 approaches. One daring, one safe, one delightfully unnecessary that somehow feels right. By noon, you've shipped a prototype and a manifesto. You break for lunch with someone you love who lives 2 time zones away, but meets you in a sunlit room that exists only while you need it. You talk about nothing and everything. It is perfect. The afternoon carries you to a garden stretched across an old parking garage. You mentor a kid who thinks they're bad at science until you show them how to program water to move like music. They grin like a solar flare. You pretend you're not crying. Your watch tattles. You don't care. Evening is for the ocean. You meet friends at a tiny port where kayaks glow just enough to make the water look like a galaxy. You paddle under a bridge that draws slow murals across its own shadow. Someone tells a story about a grandparent who saved a seed during a year when nothing grew. Someone else shares a recording of that grandparent laughing. You float. The future feels vast, but the moment feels small enough to hold. Back home, your wall becomes a window to a place you've never been. You practice a language with a teacher who lives 4 countries away and knows your mistakes before you make them. You get them back by recommending a show about bakers who can't bake but are incredibly confident about it. They'll watch it. They'll text you their favorite episode. You'll pretend to be shocked that it's the same as yours. As night folds in, you ask for a story. Not a podcast, not a book. Something told to you, for you. Stitched from your day, your history, your sense of humor, and the kind of hope you're almost embarrassed to admit you still carry. The story makes you laugh at a joke no one else would find funny. It makes you brave. The last line lingers like a hand on your shoulder. Tomorrow is a place you help build. That's the point. The future isn't an object to be delivered. It's a practice. It will offer marvels and puzzles, conveniences that make you suspicious, and difficulties that make you generous. It will ask you to update old ideas about work, love, money, art, and community. It will put more power at your fingertips than any generation before you, and then it will ask if you can be trusted with it. Some days the answer will be yes. Some days the answer will be, ask me after coffee. Both are fine. Will there be missteps? Absolutely. Someone will design an app that predicts breakups with 97% accuracy and no sense of timing. A pair of smart socks will accidentally join a political party. A flight of delivery drones will get distracted by a parade and come home late with glitter on their propellers. We will laugh. We will file bug reports. We will remember that progress is messy because people are. The invitation is simple. Notice. Notice how the world keeps teaching you new ways to pay attention. Notice which tools make you more yourself and which ones make you feel like a blurry photocopy. Choose accordingly. Curate your inputs the way a chef curates ingredients, the way a musician curates silence. Protect your ability to be surprised. That's where awe lives. That's where wisdom hides when the feed gets loud. If you've made it this far, you're already different from most. You care enough about tomorrow to sit with it, to imagine it, to let it change the way you plan today. So tell me, what part of this future calls to you? What corner scares you in a way that feels suspiciously like excitement? Share it below. Teach me something I haven't seen yet. Then subscribe, not because it helps the channel, though it does, but because you're choosing to be the kind of person who shows up when history opens a new tab. Here's my last thought, the one I hope follows you the next time you cross a street lit by a lamp that knows your name, or taste strawberries grown on a roof where cars used to sleep, or hear a song made by a kid with a laptop and a heart too big to carry alone. We don't build the future by predicting it. We build it by practicing it, awkwardly at first, then with a little swagger, then with a tenderness that makes even the machines go quiet for a second just to listen. When that happens, when technology bends toward care, when cities hum in harmony, when your life feels more like a conversation than a checklist, you'll look around and realize something miraculous. The future didn't arrive. You did.